What's up, everyone? My name is Jimmy Conover, and welcome to the final round of the Next Generation Region 8 Championship presented by Latitude 64 at Vista del Camino in Scottsdale, Arizona. The Next Generation Tour is an amateur series that started with 9 regions throughout the U.S. Each region had 12 qualifying tournaments in which the top 8 qualifiers go on to the National Championship in Fountain Hills, Arizona, where the top winner will get a brand new car. We're going to start things off with the third card. Sitting in 11th place, we have Chris Pinniger at 3 down.
For those of you who are wondering about the sheet,
This is hole 12. It is 282 feet right up the gut. We have a triple mando that players have to navigate through with a few trees on the left and 1 tree on the right, with a little OB just up to the right side past the fence. Ryan Heedy, sitting in 9th place at 4 down, puts a nice flick right up to the right side.
nice shot.
Leading the third card, we have Mitchell Ramirez, also at 9th place at 4 down.
Thank you.
William Hampton puts a nice upshot on it, skips right up to the basket.
Yeah, I got over there.
Chris Pinniger with a nice upshot.
Nice up.
Mitchell puts a nice bid on it, unfortunately gets caught up in the trees. Ryan Heedy looking at 2, drains the 2. Mitchell puts a good putt for 3. William for 3. And Chris for 3. Next up, we have the chase card. Brian Cottle starts us off in 8th place, sitting at 5 down.
Push through.
Jacob Carney sitting in 6th place at 6 down. Alfonso Chavez Luna also in 6th place at 6 down. And Alan Bowers is leading the card, sitting in 5th place at 7 down. Brian puts his flick on it, just off to the right side. Alan Bowers puts a good upshot, securing that easy 3. Alfonso's looking for a 2, just shy. Jim Carney's laying up for that easy 3. And Brian with a nice putt to secure the 3. Alfonso's almost popping out on that one. Alan cleaning up. Jacob cleaning up.
Yeah, my name's Vincent Charles Cummings III. I grew up Kansas City, Missouri. My favorite course in the world, Vista del Camino in Harmony Bends. And I do want to be a touring pro and start taking over the Masters Open Division.
Starting off our top card action is Vincent Cummings III, sitting in 3rd place at 10 down.
That's all right, a little bit high.
I'm Chris Kesseloff, straight from Cerritos, but my home course is Long Beach, El Dorado Park. My sidearm was dominantly my main go-to, basically like 85% of the time. And looking forward to coming to the championships. Let's go.
Next up, we have Chris Kesseloff, also in 3rd place at 10 down.
Name's Andy Leone from Holbrook, Arizona, 23 years old. Qualified at Fountain Hills. I won the qualifier there, got a paid entry into this tournament, and this tournament was awesome.
Andy Leone sitting in 2nd place at 13 down, local Arizona boy.
My name is Joseph Bruno from New Jersey originally. I qualified at the El Dorado tournament. This tournament has just been a blast. Just being able to meet all these people, coming from all different ways, seeing how they throw. It's just been a great experience.
And leading the card, sitting in 1st place, we have Joseph Bruno, 4 strokes ahead of Andy at 17 down. Puts a nice first drive just past the basket. Chris's upshot gives him an easy look for 3. Andy, with his upshot, clips the tree just off to the left side. Vince puts a little Annie upshot, gives it a nice little run, but ends up a little short. Here's Joseph looking at 2. Andy puts a nice solid putt. Chris securing his 3. And Vince tapping in his 3. And Joseph with his 3. So we have pars on the first hole of the final round of the Next Generation Region 8 Championship. Hole 13 is 365 feet. Right up the gut, you can see the basket just off to the right side. There's a few trees to navigate, but not too much. You either see a big hyzer or a flick that goes around the trees and ends up to the right side.
Nice shot. That looked like it kicked back.
And look at this. Andy Leon. What a pump. Puts it right up under there.
Beauty.
Joe puts a huge ante on his flick. Ends up a little bit too much ante, so he's off to the left side. Here's Vince's upshot. He's got to get around the trees from the left to the right and puts it right up to the basket. Joseph has a nice upshot. Easy 3-Z. Chris had a good drive, wanted that too, just couldn't make it happen. Vince securing his 3. Andy with a nice 2. Chris with a 3. And Joseph with a 3. So Andy with the lone 2 puts him 1 down on the round, brings him 1 stroke closer to Joseph, that 14 down. Hole 14, 360 feet, just right off to the right side. Lefty hyzer, righty flick, righty hyzer, pretty much any route you want. You're going to tend to see that on this course since it's so open. You're going to have to navigate a few trees, but overall it's pretty open. Chris saws this one off a little bit, but gets a lucky skip off the concrete. Now this is what you want to do. Joseph with a flick, keeps it low, plays the skip, right up to the bucket. Chris shooting 2, just off to the right side. Here's Vince shooting 2. Just off the top. Andy looking at 2. Boom. That's what you want. Got to get these holes. They call this birdie alley. Joseph also getting a 2. Chris with a 3. And Vince tapping in his 3. So we got Joseph and Andy with 2s. Joseph with a 1 down, 2 down on the round for Andy. Hole 15 is 375 feet. There's a few trees you got to get around. And he opts for the low lefty route, ends up by the tree on that left side.
Good shot.
Vince puts a solid flick up and over the tree. Gets a little caught up, but he still's got to look at 2. Chris puts a great looking flick on it, sitting at about 30 feet. Andy looking at that too, but just can't secure it. Vince also looking at it too. Let's see what he can do. This basket's just not having it. Joseph seeing what's going on, he says, I'm going to drain this. Basket's not having it on this round. Chris locks in his 2. So everyone looking at it too, but Chris is the only one that's able to convert. Hole 16, 340 feet. The basket is just up the front, in between the 2 trees, right behind Chris right now. And he's in striking distance for a 2. And he puts a big lefty hyzer out there, ends up leaving it a little too far out to the left. It's looking at about a 50-foot putt. Joseph thinks his flicks isn't looking too good. He actually ends up right by the tree within 30 feet. Vince is a little short, circle's edge. And he gives it a little half bid. Here's Vince from the line. And what's this? Boom shakalaka. Clips the tree, he's not able to lock her down. But cleans up the 3. Here's Chris's 2-putt. Andy's 3-putt. Chris puts a good looking flick on it, puts him about circle's edge. Now Vince gets a little over on this one. Had to be on my toes. About 40 out. And he comes up a little short, but is lucky to get past that tree. Now Bruno just steps up and says, "Let me show you how to put your body behind the disc." And there he is, sitting about 20 out. Chris just a little bit too high. Looking at 2-putt for Andy. It's a little bit higher. 2-putt for Joe. It's a little bit higher. And a good looking putt for par from Chris. Vince tapping in his 3. Joe, Andy, 3. 3's all around on that one. Joseph leading the pack at 18 down. Andy following behind at 15 down. Hole 18 is one of my favorite holes, sitting at 355. Chris saws this one off just a little bit, but hits the tree and stays in bounds. The basket's just off to the left on the peninsula, about 10 feet to the right of the water. And he just steps up. Let me show you how the locals do it. Hangs it over there dangerously, just to let it fade back to the basket. Joe puts a good looking flick on it. He wants a little bit. Chris puts a little half bid on a long putt with danger, but he's safe. Vince puts a little bit on it. Hits the tree to stay in. Joe puts a conservative putt on it. Now Andy's looking at 2, but he's got water behind him, so he puts it a little bit high. Andy taps in his 3. Chris was his 3. Vince was his 3, and Joe with his 3. 3's all around. Hole 1, 296, also on the water's edge. Everyone's opting for the flick route, also known as the lefty route. And he puts a good tug on it, navigates those trees very nicely, puts him in striking distance. Joe takes a little off this flick, but gets lucky that that tree's sitting right there, big and healthy. Vince takes a little bit too much off that but nothing he can't seal with a good putt. Joe's looking at 2, and whoop-pa! Andy getting a little conservative, a little worried about that water behind there. Tapping in his 3, and Chris. Boom. Solid 2. Chris and Joe with the birds. And then Chris steps up, parks it right under the basket. Joe doesn't get all of that one and ends up still about 80 feet out. Gives it a bid. Using that lefty cheater route.
It's down there.
Joe with a nice upshot. Vince sitting at about 40 feet. Puts it right off the top. And there's Andy for that 2. Gets it up just a little bit higher. Joe for 3, knocks out. He's going to be carding a 4 on that one. Vince taps in his 3. Chris with his 3. Oh, never mind. That was a bird. Beautiful bird. Andy and Chris both with birds. That puts Andy at 16 down, Joe at 18 down. It's getting tight.
Big jump. Wow.
Get it. Oh.
Gosh darn it. Come on, man. You're out there. Dead. Roll. Thank you.
Chris with a huge putt. Andy sitting at about the circle's edge makes it in for his 2. Brings it within 1 stroke. And with that 2, Andy brings it within 1. Chris also with the 2. Just 2 out of Andy. Chris starts us off with what looks to be a great flick. Unfortunately, there's a tree there. Andy's looking to make some moves right now. Let's see what he can put together. Does what he needs to do.
Good job, brother. Yeah, baby. Smell that trash. Throw that trash.
Vince gets an unlucky kick off the tree. And Joe just misses that first tree, but catches a big skip towards the fence. Vince puts a nice upshot around the tree. And you can see Chris obviously wants it. Just a little bit more. Joseph Bruno off the top. And Andy's in for that 2. Tying it up. Everyone taps in. And with that 2 from Andy, it is now all tied up at 18 down. Hole 5, 337 feet. Andy puts a nice bid on it. hits the tree, sitting at about 40 feet out. Vinny loses control of this one, ends up going over the fence, out of bounds.
So nervous.
Joe puts a flick out there and lands just to the right after it hits the tree. This is Vince's throw for 3. Ooh, puts a good bit on that for 3. Chris's 2-putt.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to go in.
Looks pretty good from here, just a little bit too low. Andy just a little bit too low, looking for the lead.
Clear that. Yeah, you can reach it.
Oh! Got it. Go grab your extendo arm.
Still perfect. Handicap's illegal.
Vince with the 4, everyone else cards the 3. We still have a tie up at the top at 18 down between Joe and Andy. Hole 6, 412 feet with a double mando towards the basket. This first drive, you really just want to get it close to the double mando. The double mando's to the left, you can see the basket right up there to the left. Whatever you do, you want to stay away from the right side. That's exactly what you want to do from Joe. Puts it right at the mouth of that double mando.
Weak. All right, though. Yeah. That's good. All right, that'll work.
Vince's upshot laces a forehand right through the double mando.
A little deep, and I got.
Chris is sitting out to the right side. He's going to have a tough one. Gets a lucky kick on that tree. If he doesn't hit that, he's taking strokes. Andy opting for just the up through the double mando. Smart move. Joe puts a nice up, just getting through the double, getting it close enough for an easy putt. Now here's Chris. Hits the tree one last time. He wants it. We got Andy looking at his 3, just inside the circle. Vince looking at 3. That's a good looking 3. Bruno looking in there for that 3. And Andy taking a 4. Joe has regained top position of the leader spot. With that 3, he's still sitting at 18 down. Andy with a 4 moves to 17 down. Hole 7, 396 feet with a mando right of the tree in red up there. Now Joe puts a huge flick on there. All Andy all the way, and then just comes out of it right at the last second to put him within 20 feet of the bucket. Check out this shot by Andy. Takes the lefty cheater out. Puts a nice hyzer flip, Annie glided out and puts it in striking distance. Answers Joe's drive. Chris comes up, throws a boomer out there, off the street, skips on down, gets an unlucky roll, but yet stays in bounds. Chris look at 2. It's not enough. Here's Andy for 2. Boom shakalaka. Huge putt to keep it tied up. But with Joe's drive so close, Joe still holds on to that one spot. twos from Joseph and Andy. Joe with at 19 down. Andy now sits at an 18 down. Hole 8, very simple, 242 feet. However, has some OB around it, so it can cause people some issues. Joe puts a flick, skips it up there, just stays in bounds. Now this is where things turn. Andy throws, but yet throws it a little too deep. Ends up going OB. So now we got Joe in bounds with one up on Andy. Andy sitting out of bounds. Vince also goes out of bounds. Hole 8 causing some trouble for the top card. Chris opts just to take a little bit more off than everyone else. Joe looking at his 2. And boom, that's a huge putt. That's clutch right there. This is Andy's putt for 3, which is a huge putt. Gotta keep that distance short. With that 2 from Joe, that brings him to 20 down. Andy took a 3, so he's still sitting at 18 down. 2-stroke delta. Joe just steps up, hucks it out there. Let's see how this goes. Unfortunately, that's the risk you run when throwing an overhanded shot. It's going to land on its edge and have the possibility to roll, which it rolls right out of bounds. This hole's risky because you have out of bounds left, out of bounds right. Thin strip of fairway to land on. One of my favorite holes on the course. Andy knows what he needs to do. Steps up to the stage that we call pressure. Puts it right in bounds. Vince puts a good flick on it. Puts him in striking distance. There's Chris for his 2, just off the top of the cage. Joe for 3 off the top of the cage. Now this is Andy's chance to gain back a couple strokes. And boom! Huge putt. The tables have turned yet again. And that's Joe tapping in his 4. Joe takes a 4, Andy takes a 2. We got a 2-stroke swing. We're all tied up at 19 up on the leaderboard. Andy puts a good pull on there. Unfortunately, saws it off a little bit. There's a path over to the right side, and he goes OB. Basket's just to the left. 327 feet up the gut. Have to navigate some of these trees with an OB pathway behind. Vince puts it just shy. Chris puts a beautiful flick on it. Just over the top. Puts him within 10 feet. With Andy out of bounds, Bruno just needs to keep it inbounds. Now Joe's looking at it too. Probably sitting about 40 feet out. Huge jump putt. Just going back and forth. That's a clutch putt right there. Vince just off the cage. Andy putting for 3. Left it low. Off the pole. So just after gaining back 2 strokes on Joe, Joe takes those 2 strokes right back. Now we're in the last hole. Joe's got a 2-stroke lead. All he's got to do is shoot for par. He gets it right through the trees, right up by the basket. You can see we have a mando left of that aspen tree, with the basket sitting at 315 right up the gut. We have OB right. You just want to make sure that you don't hit these trees and don't go too far right. And he needs to ace this hole. Throws a mid right up the gut. Just looking for that 2. Vince putting up his final putt right off the cage. Chris wants it. 2 of them could have had a nice putt together. Right off the top from Joe. Closing out the round with a 2. And your Region 8 championship winner is Joseph Bruno, sitting at 20 down. Andy closing out at second at 19 down. Chris Kesseloff ends with a 3, putting him at 5 down on the round. Total of 15 down. Thank you to everyone. Hope you have a good day.
Hey, bro, I'll hold those for you. Oh no, I did not clutch that.
Jeez.
Bobby Evans! Let's go, Brian! Where you from? Pine Top. Pine Top? Come on, Pine Top! Move! Move! Pine Top! Nice job, bro. It's me again?
Yeah.
Man, I got it there with the sidearm roller. There you go. Woo! Yeah. Nice. That's not first. Yeah. Bobby Evans! That fourth seater was going to be left walking. Ginnelly has Rossi with a back injury. He is improving. Too high. Not to the point where he could possibly return just yet. There has to be an injury. That's 13 hours of explosive any catcher, so it doesn't always work the way he wants it to. He's okay with that. Keep these runners on. You're up, Rock. See it. Get over the road. Stay up. Hold on. Work now.
On the road.
Oh, that's in the lake.
Let's have loud applause for this last row. Come on.
Boom! Get that building! Get it!
This contest you get 2. You're all going to start at 1, I'll do 1. You're all going to start at 2, go to 2, I'll do 2. Eventually, there will only be one of you standing at 8. That's my guess. No one's ever made it through in the history. And if you do that, I have a bonus. There is no second and third, there is only second and 1 winner. Everybody else ties for second, gets the same prize. First place gets the grand prize. Sick. Play to win, don't play to lay up.
So, so after your second miss, you're out, or you keep
out.
going?
You're out.
Either side, right?
Either side. You guys gotta want to come up, so you don't gotta. You guys can come on up. Leave it in the basket.
Nice putt. Nice putt. Nice putt.
Everybody get to the first station. Here we go. There we go. Leave it in the basket. Guns Jr. Kesseloff. Dostal. Bynum. Byram, sorry, I thought I said Bynum. Okay, everybody's on to station 2, grab your putters.
Made it.
Lefty.
Kyle's up. Follow by Lance. Got one more shot at it. First player eliminated. Tommy Guns Jr. One more shot at it. Still in.
He's in.
Kesseloff. Stays perfect. Dostal.
Oh.
One more shot at it. Still in. Byram. Oh. Then there was 4. Grab your.
Oh.
He's out unless they all miss. Guns is out. Kesseloff and Dostal left. Dostal's on sudden death. He's alive.
Yeah, Edge.
Kesseloff has 2 throws, or Edge Dostal is the champion. to station 4 for the sun. I believe it is. Puts the pressure on Edge Dostal. One shot to keep Kesselov from being the champ. Here it is. All right, big hand for Chris Kesselov, your cutting champion. Can I continue? Wait, hold on. Continue. Go ahead. Yeah, okay. There's a bonus if he makes it through all 8 stations. It's never been done. I only have 1 miss. You only have 1 miss. Yeah. There is a bonus. I didn't know if he was for completing it. First player in the history. Imagine. It's the truth. No pressure. Yeah. Oh, let's do the ceremony. All right.